There's a massive dilemma when it comes to choosing the route for today's 28-kilometre run. My right knee was absolutely screaming at me. But sometimes you just have to accept you're going to get wet feet. Always wanted to navigate through a swamp in the hail. Good morning, gentlemen. I hope your midlife crises are treating you well on this fine morning. What am I doing? My training plan says I need to run 28 kilometres today. It's 4 Celsius and hammering it down with freezing cold rain. But here I am anyway. Now, it's not very often I look at my YouTube statistics for the channel, but I had a look recently, and it turns out that 100% of the people who watch my channel are middle-aged men. Who knew? This may come as a bit of a surprise to some of the people who comment on my videos quite regularly, such as Bev, Angela, Lorna, Rachel, Chloe, Dawn. But you can't argue with YouTube statistics. As far as I know, all of you are middle-aged men. Hello. But with that in mind, and looking towards the longevity of the channel, I think what I need to do, given that you guys will probably only be around for another decade or two before you pop your clogs, I need to start trying to relate to a younger audience, bring in some fresh blood. So with that in mind, I'm gonna go for a bit of a run on the trails and hills, and then I'll get back home, and I'll go on TikTok or something like that. So, a warm welcome to all my new younger viewers. Nice to see you. I'm getting a bit cold and wet, and I think there's water in my shoes. So there's a massive dilemma when it comes to choosing the route for today's 28-kilometre run. You saw me recently do the 22 kilometres on the old railway lines. Nice and steady, easy to navigate, not too hilly once you'd reached Tib Shelf. So I had the option of following that same route and then just extending it further towards the end of the Teversall Trail and crossing over onto the Skegby Trail, which I've never been on before, and then that loops back, takes you onto a link trail which will get you back on the Silver Hill and turn back ready for home. That would have been the more gentle option. 28 kilometres is going to be one of my longest runs ever. I think it's probably my second longest. I did the ultra last year, and yeah, I don't think I've done any training runs longer than this. I did my 26.2 kilometre for the 26.2 subscriber special back in the day, and at that point I wasn't following a written training plan. I was making my own running up, and my idea was to add a couple of kilometres onto the long run every weekend. No deloads. This is going back a couple of years. I just kept adding and adding and adding, making that long run longer and longer and longer, not considering the fact that I may need to recover at some point and take some deloads and be sensible to avoid injury. It got to the point where I'd planned the 28 kilometre long run for the first time ever, and I plotted this route using Komoot. It heads up partly along the Spire Ultra route, which I think was just a coincidence. I've not probably heard of the run at that time, and then takes you up to where the Red Lion pub is. That's a big climb from here, and the first 10k of the Spire Ultra takes you up there. Lots of climbing, and so that was the first part of the route. Then after that, the idea was to run along the road to get on some more trails, loop round, basically making the distance up to 28 kilometers before I came home. And on that day I'd got maybe 8 or 9 kilometers in when my knee started hurting, getting quite sore on my right knee. Which was a slight worry, but I decided to soldier on and get out onto these trails I'd not been on before. But it must have been, based on looking back at Strava now, about 11 or 12 kilometers in when I decided I can't take this anymore. My knee is just too sore. So I turned around and started trying to make my way home, and running downhill or walking downhill in some cases was just really painful. My right knee was absolutely screaming at me. Couldn't run downhill basically. I had to kind of limp with a straight right leg and walk. Took me ages to get back. Never managed the 28 kilometer run that I had planned, and that was the start of a really bad dose of runner's knee for me. My first encounter with it, and I had to figure out how to sort it out, and I was out of running for a while. So I've never attempted that route again, never attempted a training run of 28 kilometers again, and it's a bit of a tricky decision to try and tackle the same thing again, but I figured I'm in better shape now. I've got more experience now. I should be able to tackle it again and hopefully complete it this time. Not sure at this point, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm training for a 56 kilometer race, so this is only half the distance. I'll walk where I need to on the hills, monitor myself for any signs of impending injury, and do my best to get through it unscathed. But I've decided to tackle it. I'm on part of the Spire Ultra route now. It's not looking great at this point, so I think the conditions are worse than last time I tackled it, or tried to tackle this route. But anyway, here we are now on this glorious Saturday morning. It's about 7:15 in the morning. Not too many people about, as you'd imagine, and I'm going to try and get it done. So I'm still on part of the Spire Ultra route, which mostly follows the Chesterfield round walk route, which there are little signs for. I'm not following it too far, but yeah, once I get up to the Red Lion pub, I'll be going a completely different way. Just had some flapjack as I climbed up this hill, Martin's Lane. Bit of a tricky junction this one if you're doing the Spire race. And the nice wide lane carries on down to the right, but that takes you to Wingerworth. There's a left turn, heads back towards home via Ashover Road, but on race day you need to come through here, and then just a little bit further up before we go into the woods there's a stile on the left that keeps us out of the woods and takes us through the fields around the edge of it. Sat-nav gets confused at this point every time. It's telling me to make a U-turn, but it'll catch up eventually. Here we go. You've heard the expression pissing in the wind. I was just doing that. I think I know what it's all about now. It's a very dangerous occupation. Another nice soggy bit there. I'm through the gate. It's tempting to go into the woods at this point, but I think the Spire route would take you up this delightful, even muddier bit around the outside of the woods still. And we don't go into the woods until the very top of the hill. Or hills. Oh man. Yeah, strongly advise against coming this way just for the fun of it. The weather is a little bit clearer at the moment, thankfully. I've got my little thin gloves on, just because they're more practical for opening flapjack packets and using the GoPro. But I did learn from my mistake last time I did that, and I've got the waterproof gloves in my pack. Keep finding myself wanting to run even on the hills, because it's a training run, not a training walk, but meant to be easy miles really, or steady according to the plan. Almost at the top. I think the clouds are confusing the sat nav a bit, telling me to make a U-turn. Well, as you can see, the round walk arrow takes us into the woods here. And we're just bare left. So I took my hood down so I could hear the vehicles coming. Now the wind's freezing my head off. Sometimes it's worth trying to find the driest route, but sometimes you just have to accept you're going to get wet feet. Thankfully, so far the Asics Trabuco Max 2 that I'm wearing, they do seem to dry out fairly quickly. My feet warm up again after a little while. Oh my goodness, that's a shadow. I think the sun might have appeared. Can just about make out Chesterfield's crooked spire, St Mary's Church in the middle of the picture there. Can just about make out the road at the crest of the hill up there. So the bulk of the initial climbing's almost done. Mind you, I do still have to climb all the way up there. So I wouldn't say it's almost done. Running through one farm now, which is usually a bit muddy. And then a couple of fields later, the muddiest field I've ever known. Amazingly, it looks like it may have been snowing or hailing up near the Chesterfield round walk sign here. So it's obviously a bit cooler up on the top of these hills. Fair play to the farmer for making some improvements here. The style that's usually impossible to find now has a nice wooden frame around it. And we're heading into the mudfest now. On the way back, to keep things interesting, I'm doing little loops kind of off the main trail to kind of bulk the distance up and, yeah, like I say, keep things interesting. So I should actually be coming back round here somewhere and up this field if I can find the way. I think the path actually keeps to the left of the field here, so the muddiest bit that I quite often traipse through over there isn't where I should be going. This bit, not too bad. What do you know, this bit's not as bad as I remember it either. This is usually deep mud. Fair play to the farmer and thank you. Now, on Spire Ultra Day you would turn left here, go up that lane that leads you directly to Bellend Lane on the other side of the main road. But the signs for the Chesterfield round walk take us this way, to the slightly more dangerous blind road crossing further down. So on race day, remember to go up the lane if you're doing the Spire Ultra and you happen to be watching this video. I think it may be hailing. Oh, what a beautiful day. Hey, hey, a beautiful day. Jesus. Always wanted to navigate through a swamp in the hail. Now's my chance. Ooh. Right, again, I think the path you're meant to follow goes right near the edge here. For some reason I've usually tried to navigate through that lot. Maybe because it does get very wet at the bottom of the field. Oh God, I'm underwater. Ow, hail in the face. I've made it to the Red Lion. really nice here. The Spire route goes down that farm lane and through Corporation Wood. I'm going past it today and looping round and coming back up there if it all goes to plan. I don't know what these drivers coming past me are thinking of me. The hail's blasting my legs. Really stings, especially when your legs are cold already. Okay, Hunger Hill Lane. Confirmed. I dare say 10 years ago, if I'd driven past someone doing what I'm doing today, I would have said to myself, what's that pillock doing in shorts in these temperatures, running around on a road with fast traffic and no footpath? I can see my point. Holy cow, that trail coming down from where Hunger Hill Lane finishes is absolutely mad. It's just like a single track roller coaster, all downhill, weaving and bobbing from left to right. I had to put the camera down and basically apply the brakes as it was trying to throw me down the hill. Good fun though. The old water pumping station. This farm driveway is a lot easier in the other direction. Almost back at that main road near the Red Lion now. Forget what this farm's called. Might be Over Hay. Something to do with hay. Little hay. All the hay. Hay, hay, hay. I'll find out when I get to the top. I'm sure there's a sign.
Next go straight. Now continue straight on street.
Stone hay. Never would have guessed that in a million years. Back at the Red Lion and the Peak Edge Hotel. Not going back the way I came. Need to follow the main road to the end here. Hoping this bit of verge remains runnable until I get there. Right, found my way back to the usually very muddy farm. That isn't too bad today. Got 11.7k to go, but really happy with how my legs are feeling and how I'm feeling at this point. Almost went then. My foot skidded all the way along there on the heel of my left foot, but luckily I'd just put my hand on top of here. I managed to hold on to myself. It's actually nice and warm now. The sun's been out for a little while. Like slightly clearer view of Chesterfield now I'm back here. And it's fined up a bit. I'd never say the British weather's unpredictable. You always know you're going to get at least 2 or 3 seasons in each day. So it's fairly dependable in that regard. My shorts are fully dried out now, which is amazing considering how wet they were earlier on. Even the mud looks more inviting in the sunshine. To a degree. So I've just over 6k to go until I get home now, and I'm so pleased with how strong I'm feeling at the moment. I know a lot can happen between now and race day. I've got another 17k run tomorrow for a bit of a back-to-back long run weekend, but I've got to appreciate where I am at the moment and how well things have been going to this point. Just to think how well the plan's been going, how well I've made decisions to deviate from it if I felt a niggle coming on, and I've decided to miss a run or two, and that's kept me going and stopped me from, whoa, hasn't stopped me from falling in that hole. It stopped me from reaching the point where I overdo it, and then the decision on whether to stop or not is taken out of my hands. So just celebrating this point in time as I reach towards the end of week 17 of the training out of a 24-week plan, and yeah, just really happy with how far I've come and how much better it's gone this time than last time. Even tackling this route that 2 years ago nearly finished me off, and I was apprehensive about doing it again, but I've beaten it. 6k to go, all on relatively flat or easy trails once I get out of this field, and feeling really good, can't fault it. So thanks a lot for joining me on this journey, guys. Glad to have you along. Your encouragement's really helped, and hope your training is going just as well. If you do want to carry on watching my journey, feel free to subscribe to the channel. It is free, just press the button and watch the subscriber count go up by one. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you soon.